Welcome to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Gold podcast, your destination for all things lacrosse. I'm your host, Kyle Devitt, and Jack Piatelli is in studio. Jack, how we doing?
Doing well. Summer's come to an end. Hard to believe. Today's August, end of August, yeah. And but I love the month of September. So all the kids are back at school. I have the beach to myself down in Wesley, Rhode Island, which is very nice. But how are you doing? You get surgery coming up. When's your surgery?
1 week from today. So, as our producer promised that, if something happens, there's complications, that they do a tribute show. So that's all I ask.
Yeah, I'm already getting it ready, Cal.
Yeah, 3 hours. That's minimum. 2 parts, 3 hours, greatest hits. Every time I made Jack laugh. So,
Jack was saying we only need about 15 minutes, actually.
No, that's if you did my playing highlights and how I hurt my knee.
That's being generous. Yeah,
it is.
Being very generous.
It's getting rough, but we want to welcome our guest in studio, Nichols College. You've been through a season now. Shayne Lynch, how's it going, man?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me in studio today. This is awesome.
Yeah, I remember when that you got that job. It was kind of a swap. You were a longtime assistant at Holy Cross. I know we kind of wrote an article about it. We talked about it, but can you kind of just go through how that happened, how the switch from D1 to D3 happened for you?
Yeah. Always been looking for, a head coaching opportunity as soon as I kind of got an assistant coaching opportunity, right?
Just trying. That's how it goes.
Right. That's how it goes. If that's not where you aspire to be, I'm not sure, kind of what you're doing, trying to raise your game or coach at the highest level. But opportunity at Nichols arose. The cliche, I guess you hear everybody say, is there's no great time to transition, but middle of the school year, I think, is a little different. The jobs, I think, typically don't turn over during that time. So a little bit of a unique situation there, but had a chance to interview, was offered the position. And it just checked a lot of the boxes that I was looking for, right? Because as much as you aspire to be a head coach, you don't want to just be a head coach anywhere. You want to find a place that's going to help further your career, help set you up for success, or at least a place that you can be successful at after you've worked hard to get there throughout your career. So,
and what were those points in terms of why Nichols? Why was it a good fit for you?
Yeah, I think the simplest way to put it is, from a lacrosse standpoint, the expectations and the support are very much in alignment at Nichols. And then, you're looking at a spot where you can attract student athletes to, where they're going to grow, where they're going to have, academic and career opportunities that are going to help them. And, again, with the business program at Nichols, a lot of those boxes were checked off the field as well.
Now, you come from a lacrosse family. Your brother Ryan played at Springfield College. He's an assistant coach at Springfield, been there for a number of years. He's doing a great job. Talk a little bit about your background, where you grew up, how you got involved in lacrosse, and why did you decide to coach?
Yeah, good question. And, anticipated it coming, but still don't know if there's a straight answer to it. Kind of just fell into it in a lot of ways, and fell in love with it at the same time. So Ryan and I never really, we certainly talked, but I don't think I ever encouraged or discouraged him to get into coaching one way or another. But, certainly proud of him and everything he's done, both as a player and a coach at Springfield. For me, I got my opportunity at Washington College. Was doing an internship there for Brian Matthews while he was the athletic director. Had a chance to work alongside the lacrosse program, and it was Jeff Shirk's first year there, and helped him out from like a game management standpoint. But I was really working in the entire department. And at the end of Coach Shirk's first year, a graduate assistant spot opened up. Interviewed for it, got it. Wasn't really sure what I was going to do after I graduated, so it was nice to find something. And was able to get a master's at Washington College, kind of continue my coaching career there. Was there for 4 years. Left there to kind of just take the next step. There's only so far you can go up in one spot. So took the head job at Navy Prep, was there for 3 years. And then I just kind of keep moving more north. Took the job at Holy Cross, and I've kind of been in the Worcester County area ever since.
Worcester's a little bit different than Newport, huh?
A little bit. They do. I have heard it often referred to as the Newport of Central Massachusetts. So at least it's how I justified it, moving from Newport to Worcester.
Worcester represent. Hey,
Right.
hey,
But you didn't have
you
to
don't
move
get to
far.
say bad things about Worcester unless you lived there or went to school there. Okay, that's how it goes.
Yeah,
Same
right.
thing with Springfield, by the way. I've
Right.
been to Springfield.
I know.
Okay.
I got you. I got you. But you didn't have to move far from Holy Cross to Nichols.
No, and I think that, certainly helped make it a smooth transition. But I think wherever Nichols was, it certainly, checked a lot of boxes for me and would be a great place to be, regardless of how convenient it was to jump over there.
And you played at Wesley, which I think maybe a lot of people don't know where that is. It's in Delaware, right? Dover, Delaware. How did you come to play there, and what was your experience there like?
Yeah, so I had a really, enjoyable experience at Wesley. The college is not open anymore. I think it got absorbed by Delaware State, a lot kind of like the same way Cabrini went in a way.
Yeah.
But had a great career there. Have some of my best friends, closest friends to this day that, we're still talking, still in group chats and things like that. So, and basically went there. I had a club teammate who was kind of already playing there. I had gone to Greensboro College for a semester. Was a little bit far from home. Wanted to kind of come back to the Mid-Atlantic region at that time, and he was having a great experience. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. Had my major, which at the time was phys ed or sport management. So you're kind of just, when you're looking to transfer, you have a very specific idea what you want or what you're looking for, and that was certainly the case for me at the time.
Yeah, I think, going through your career, you are steadily moving up north, but there is also a lot of differences in the places you've been, right? Like Washington College, I feel okay saying this, the Springfield of Maryland. No? I mean, right? Like historically, maybe.
I get the thread you're trying to draw there. Yeah, I mean, it's produced a lot of coaches, especially in our game, right?
Yes.
I don't know if they have the phys ed curriculum that Springfield boasts, but certainly from a coaching standpoint, there's been a lot of great coaches to go through Washington College, to be at Washington College, have a lot of success. So yeah, that was certainly a special spot, and I'm really lucky I got to start there.
And Navy prep, I mean, I think people are always wondering what the difference is between coaches that go from college to the prep ranks to high school to D1. Like, you've kind of killed all areas, right? Like, how many other places could you possibly coach? Like, what was the difference in levels like transitioning, and what are some of the things that you changed about your coaching style?
Wow. Yeah. So I hope a lot of things have changed year to year about my coaching style, just in the mindset of trying to grow and get better. But you're right. They all have been very different. And I think, Navy prep was even different than I think a lot of other prep schools, because like nobody applies to go to NAPS, right? Like they apply to the Naval Academy and they get sent to NAPS. And I don't, certainly wasn't privy to all the ins and outs, everything. I was the coach, and it was, you coach the guys that you have when you're there. But the big piece of that school is kind of training and retention. So I think it was very good for me to stop there along my career. You're coaching, you have kind of the whole gamut of student athletes there, right? Like you have guys who were recruited to play lacrosse at the Naval Academy, and then you have some other guys with a varying level of experience that you kind of need to fill out your team. And you're not playing in a league, or you're not playing for any kind of conference championship or anything. So your championship is getting them to the end of the year, keeping their goals of being at the Naval Academy in sight and developing them as a lacrosse player and as a person. So it's a unique way that you kind of have to build the team, that you have to approach each guy. And you have to train each guy. And I think it certainly helped me, kind of hone my craft for sure.
What was the retention like for you when you were there? And do most of the players that play at Navy prep go on and play at Navy Academy?
So there's the guys that were recruited to be part of the class. At least this is how it was when I was there. They're recruited to be part of the class. Admissions makes their decisions as far as who goes direct and who goes to the prep school for a year. When I was there, they wanted the retention rate at the prep school overall the same as it was at the academy, which don't quote me on it, but I think it was like 88%. As far as our team, the goal was to, keep all the recruited kids and make sure you get them through. And at the same time, try to get them through a year older and a year better. And it's not a place that they're thrilled to be at, right? They want to get to, it's a stepping stone for them for sure. So, being able to have those conversations with guys, before November where they're not loving, the incoming New England weather or just maybe losing sight of the big picture, I think was, one of the biggest things I got to take away was just kind of having those conversations with guys and help them think forward, help them stay focused, help them, create habits that are going to be in alignment with what their long-term goals are as individuals.
Now, is the student athletes at Navy Prep, are they there only for 1 year?
Yeah, it's a 1-year deal. And so, you're playing everybody from Nassau Community College to Deerfield Academy. It's a unique schedule. The most fun part about it from a coaching standpoint is the kids are always thrilled to go to practice. It's the best part of their day. So you really have their attention. Yeah. At the same time, you're coaching every position, which is fun. And I think really, helped me see kind of all sides of the game. And again, I think it was a blessing to be there because it really helped develop me as a coach, coaching other positions, the goalie position. Probably fell in love with coaching goalies there. Just working with Ryan Kern that first year. I mean, he taught me more than I ever taught him, but, ended up having a great career at the academy. And, again, just fortunate that I got to bump into those guys on the way.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's also interesting looking at your career, you've basically become a defensive coach, right? Like your man down was ranked nationally a couple times. You've helped develop some real defensive talent while you're at Holy Cross as well. Are you comfortable with that label? Is that something you take pride in, or you want to be more like well-rounded?
Yeah, I think yes, both. I'd like to take pride in being well-rounded, but also, certainly proud of kind of what's been done so far. And look, I got to coach a lot of really good players, like some of those guys who, went on to get all Patriot League status or, get drafted in the PLL or whatever. Certainly just lucky to get a chance to coach them. They were the ones who did it. Guy like Sean New, one of the hardest working, smartest lacrosse players I've been around. I think, similar to the example I used with Ryan, I learned just as much from Sean as I think he could have ever learned from me. So, I think especially now as a head coach, Kyle, like being well-rounded, I think is probably more where I try to hang my hat. Just being able to see all facets, to, be able to manage both sides of the ball, be able to, coach everything from a small skill fundamental to the big picture stuff that we're trying to get all 6 guys to do together on the field, whether it's offense or defense. I think, being well-rounded is good. It's probably where I'd want to point to now.
Now,
well, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Now, as a head coach, do you pretty much let your offense and defensive coordinators, you hire guys to do their own thing and you oversee what they do, or are you implementing what kind of offense and defense you want run?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the year. It depends who's on staff. It depends, what kind of personnel we have on the team. I know that's like answer, non-answer, but, I want to just maximize whatever we have, whatever that is year to year. Last year, for example, it was me and one GA, and we were kind of trying to figure out what works for this team that, falls into kind of how I view the game, how I want to articulate it, and how I want to build the program moving forward, combined with what they already have in place. So last year, Coach Ambrosino and I, we kind of alternated which side of the ball we were coaching. It was almost day to day, drill to drill. Like there's some days where, he's taking the shooters and I'm taking the defensemen to work on, or the whole defense to work on kind of the big picture stuff. And then we'll flip and the D guys are doing footwork and I'm doing big picture stuff with the offense at the other half of the positional portion of practice. So I think just, you have to be creative with what you have. And I think that's, one thing I try to do, or a strength of mine that I try to lean on, is just being able to adapt to whatever our strengths are, whatever resources we have. Let's maximize those and not worry about what we don't have.
What would your players say about you as a coach? Are you a tough guy to play for, or Are you a fun guy to play for? You know, I know you're very organized and you're disciplinarian. You've worked extremely hard. So, what do some of the players say about you, think?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I try to put my earmuffs on those, right? But you know, what I try to focus on is just creating a great experience for the guys where they're excited to come to the facility every day. And I think each guy's different. Like some guys respond really well to, hard coaching or what you would describe as tough coaching. Other guys, you just need to communicate the same message maybe a little bit differently to them. So I think in the mindset of trying to just make it a great experience for them every day and something they're looking forward to, I try to do both. I think the guys who need that tough coaching, I hope they say like, yeah, Coach Lynch is tough on me at the right times. And, at the same time, the guys who might need to feel supported to kind of grow their game, I hope they would say that I'm doing that for them. Yeah.
I like to come in and steal a drill from most coaches. So,
Sure.
because, great writers steal. Wait,
Sure.
that's
Great
wrong.
coaches steal too.
Great coaches steal. So,
Are you calling yourself a great writer?
no, I was
Okay.
quoting an adage.
All right,
I'm a
take-
above
take-
average writer.
Take that
I'm
back.
above
please.
average.
Take that back.
No.
Hey, it's Bobby Moran, Director of Athletics at Thayer Academy. You know what? Experience matters, and Thayer Academy's professional coaching staff understands how to work with each student athlete to help them succeed. Our coaches and faculty are committed to ensuring both 5th to 12th graders feel known, connected, and prepared. This is Thayer's secret sauce, nurturing each student to reach their full potential. Here, success is truly a team sport. Are you ready for your child to take the next step? See what Thayer has to offer at thayer.org. That's THAYER.org.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Give me your best defensive drill and your best offensive drill to try and run to develop players.
I mean, geez, what do we need to work on that, that day?
Let's work on 6-on-6.
From a 6-on-6 standpoint, like, I think what we try to do is create and coach concepts or, things that are kind of non-negotiable in that gray area that are the right decisions. And try to highlight those, whether it's in a 2-on-2, a 3-on-3, or a 4-on-4. So like, one drill that done a lot that I think, you've seen it. But the sideways 3-on-3 stuff I think is great, right? Where anything where you're manipulating the field space to kind of create the look or create a situation, or you're manipulating the numbers to create a look or create a situation, I think is good. But tying it into the same types of language or the same types of, some people call them rules or non-negotiables. Like as long as those are consistent, no matter what you're doing, I think the drill's good, right? Every drill can be good. Every drill can be bad. Yeah, I know that didn't necessarily give you the drill, but there's a lot. Like the sideways 3-on-3, I think does a good job, getting guys involved, and you're working on the on ball and the off ball side of your offense, and you can show it right there. We do a 4-on-4 drill where the guys all break out from the crease, and you start with a double off an advantage GB for the offense. So you're automatically creating that situation where conceptually we want to work on, picking a ball up and moving it too, right, to create something on the backside. But you're working on your defensive rotation while you're working on dodging off of a catch in that same situation. So, I certainly don't think I could take credit for any drill that we do at this point. I've either stolen them from somebody I've I've worked with, worked for, or the coaches insider and the stuff the IMLCA convention does is great. I think taking anything and repackaging it to fit whatever your team does or how you guys word it or want to play is what I try to do, and I think what most successful coaches are doing.
I really want to see linear 3-on-3 like dodging creation offense come back. I haven't seen it since like the MLL in 2010. Like it's such a underrated because it's so hard to defend and people don't. I'd never see anyone use it. Everyone does high wing, X, alley, quick 1-2-3 pass like sets. If you could bring back straight up attack from the gut, I feel like that's the next trend. I'm going to call it right now on this podcast. No one's going to give me any credit, but I think that's the next move. The just going from the side, like linear, like straight from the side and making the defense make a move first and they go up or down. And whether they, try to deny you top side or underneath, that's where your offense initiates. So I feel like I see a little bit, but like that's, I think, the next step.
You're setting up a two-way go and you're initiating from a two-way go instead of, where you're just going to the right or left, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I guess my question to you, why do you think that's gone away at this point?
Because I think it's gone away because everyone wants to attack from up top. Everyone wants to get looks at the cage or draw defenders behind the cage. And so it's north-south. We're not doing east-west. And you're taught from a young age, don't dodge east-west, right? Like north-south, we're going north-south, we're going here, we're going here. But if you can manipulate defenders who like don't know any better, a lot of them, because they've never seen it. Like I've seen a ton of guys just be able to create off of getting the underneath to go early and then kicking it. Like, I mean, I've told this story 100 times. We had a guy stand on the end line and spin it through X. He didn't do anything.
Sure.
I was like, your only job is to catch this ball and move it over there. You don't move. You don't do anything. That defenseman shuts you off. You go run to the corner. Right. And then someone else goes over there. Right. Like, I feel like that kind of, if you go from the other side of the field and you cut the field in half, everyone says cut the field in half, widthwise. But if you do it lengthwise, like you're talking about with your drill, you can 100%. Actually kind of manipulate a lot. I think that's awesome. Like it just made my coach brain spin up. It's been dead for a while.
Sure.
I haven't coached for a while.
With a drill like that though, like, when you're talking about, working on your offense on the ball side, like you can initiate off of that two-way go where you can get top side or underneath and still have a good angle. Right. And that's why you're cutting the field space that way. And, I think it all ties together, right? Like doing a drill like that gives the kids a different perspective on the field because the lines are all, going east-west for the most part. Right. So, putting in a quote unquote imaginary line, it can change their perspective a little bit and you can apply that perspective to riding and clearing, right? The same on defense. And you don't have to mirror the Dodger every single time, right? Like you don't have to pick for the Dodger
everyone does.
Time.
Everyone does.
I think it's interesting. It's an interesting result, I think, of the shot clock, right? Yeah. Like you look at NBA basketball and, it's a lot of one type of offense, one type of kind of looks. I think maybe we're seeing a little bit of that. I don't know. We have a little bit of a longer shot clock, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's
a lot of stuff, but
my whole point is like it's just a little like I want to see something different. Like you can. It's actually like kind of boring to watch some teams play because you're just like, okay, well, this guy's gonna drive down the alley, that guy's gonna clear through. All right, they're running triangles. All right, they're running a 1-4. They're gonna switch in and out. Like, I mean, that's also from me coaching high school for 3 years, where I'm just like, all right, just stay with this guy. He's getting the ball, and they're like, really? I was like, yes. They're not going to do anything different. College is different. You have so much more talent. You have so much more adaptability. But it's just the trends are always interesting. And I like to ask coaches about them because everyone's got an opinion on it, on what's working and what everyone does because it works. Right. So you're talking about the culture of taking and adapting. Right. And I think that it's almost out of control taking and adapting because everyone is taking and adapting the same things.
Right. We're all watching the same success.
Yeah.
And trying to replicate it. Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. Which is, the next level. How do you repackage it and make it your own? Right.
I think back in the 80s and 90s, you saw a lot of dodges start from X, where now most of your dodges start at the midfield line, like you said.
Yep.
Dodge the alley, swing the ball to the other side, or dodge the alley, get the ball at X, then dodge from X. But you very rarely see a dodge just starting at X like you did with like Zalberti, right? Zalberti would get the ball, dodge from X, create a double team, look to the crease, look for the top guy at the midfield line. But anyways, I've watched a lot of college lacrosse over the last 5-10 years, and their offenses are very, very similar. It comes down to matchups, quickness, speed, skill set, shots. Get an edge on your defensive player, create a slide from the top, and then your whole offense runs off of that first dodge.
Right. Yeah. And whether you're initiating from X or you're initiating from the wing, it all boils down to its simplest form at some point, right? Like we're trying to draw a double team, and then we're trying to get the ball to the opposite side to see if we got something, whether it's a matchup or space. That's how we're trying to win. That's what we're trying to defend too.
Let's talk a little bit about your first season at Nichols.
Sure.
You increased the win total. You went to 11-8, 4-4 in the conference. Some fun wins here, some really close ones. You had a close one with UMass Boston. It's just, how do you see the evolution of Nichols in 2 and 3 years versus your first year? And what do you think you did well there in your first year?
Yeah. Just real quick, I don't think the game against UMass Boston was close. we were out of it. That one felt like we were out of it early. But I'm excited to talk about that because I think it was, maybe the game we grew the most from, right? Mm-hmm. Like it was second or third game of the year, and maybe what ended up, until we got to the end of the conference season was, one of our most lopsided losses. So took a lot from that. But, I think regardless of record, the thing that, I'm most excited about or, proud of what last year's team did was the guys really came together in a pretty short amount of time. And were really focused on what their purpose was. Right. And they were the ones that, articulated what they wanted to do, what kind of team they wanted to be to each other. And the things we focused on were just always doing our best individually and collectively. And then, they wanted to create a culture, right? To kind of, to move the program forward.
Set the standards high for the younger class.
Set the standards. And, we did an exercise, where met with each of the guys. Coming in at the time I did was, it was nice in a way because you had some time before the end of the first semester and then a little bit of time over winter break before we actually started practice to have these kinds of conversations. So, kind of took the words that the guys used in meetings with me individually, in meetings, with their classmates, seniors through first years, and then as a collective group, and, had the guys take those words and look at them and find consistent threads to who they wanted to be and what virtues they wanted to have. That resonated with all of them. And I think they really kind of bought into that idea and they executed it really well. And I think they set us on a good path. I'll say that. And every year you got to, I think, revisit, every year, every day, you got to revisit those cultural conversations with what you're trying to build and what you're trying to do. But I think, we're certainly going a good direction based on last year. And it's, because of what the guys did, focusing on that purpose and who they wanted to be as a group. I think they really lived up to those high standards, and they set high standards for themselves, like you said, Jack.
And in Division III, you see a lot of assistant coaches, if the head coach moves on, will take over the program so they understand what the program is all about. They're going to make some changes, in terms of whether they want a different culture, they want different players, they're going to recruit different players, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. But coming in, being promoted as a head coach, as an assistant coach, the players, the system. You come in, you don't know the system, you don't know the admissions process, you don't know your players. How long did it take you to get up to speed, getting to know the players? What you do to get to know the players? Did you watch film on the players from previous years? Yeah. And Then going into the season, did you have an idea of who your better players were and what you needed to do to make the other players step up and participate and be a big part of the program?
Yeah, certainly. You start with box scores and then you go into film and it's all on huddle. So yeah, you're 100% able to get into the tape and see who the guys are as players. And there was, again, that little bit of transition time over Christmas where, fortunately I was able to do that. Now, like you said, you also feel like you're drinking from the fire hose sometimes because you're learning the admissions process. You're trying to put the recruiting class together. You're starting that in December. So, there's a lot of other hats you got to put on while you're kind of getting ready for the season. So I think, as far, I tried to get to know the guys, certainly as people and as teammates, and whether it was, asking them questions just in sit down meetings like this would be, or, kind of, sending out survey questions, but, more, asking kind of pointed questions that they have to, kind of expand on a little bit to kind of get to know them, I think was, kind of where we put the focus before practice started. And then just keeping those conversations going. I think a lot of it was just taking the time to sit down with them and seeing what they were going to say.
Yeah. Just kind of looking at going from D1 to D3 again. Now your switch this summer was recruiting. So
Sure.
What about your recruiting approach changed this summer versus past summers at Holy Cross?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, limited spot, more limited spots in Division I at the type of school that I was at Holy Cross, you can kind of parse who's an available prospect, based on, their admissibility, things like that. But at the same time, there are a lot of admissible kids, and if you're only bringing in a certain amount in the recruiting class, you want the guys that are going to help you compete. You want to out recruit yourself. Coaches say it all the time. I've heard them say it on here. I think with where we're at roster wise, we got to expand the roster at Nichols. I think that's one thing that just separates us from where we are with our competition in the league. We had 28 guys on roster last year, right? So getting that number up to, at least the league average, is it's more than a goal. It's something that we're going to do, and it'll help us close the gap. But I think just as we're looking at guys, there's more guys who can play in Division III, right? So you're looking at prospects differently, and you're evaluating them, maybe with less complete tools, but it's a lot of the ways it's still the same because you're trying to figure out, guys that you want to coach as a head coach, or, this might've been the biggest change, Kyle, but trying to find guys who your boss wants to coach, right? Because that's the job of the assistant. It's not your job to find your guys. It's your job to find, your head coach's guys, and who's going to work well with them. So that might've been maybe the biggest mindset shift, is like thinking about it more just from who's going to work well for me.
Yeah. So in terms of when you throw the net out, you're fishing, you get more fish in your net, and then
Hopefully.
you got to divide and conquer,
Sure.
based on ability, academics. But I would imagine, like you said, that the pool is larger. So you have to go through that net more often than you would at Holy Cross because you don't have as many prospects who qualify.
I think it's just where you spend your time.
Right.
Like, I think it's the same amount of time. It's just, in Division I, it was having, conversations as we're kind of evaluating guys to see who's going to be the right fit. Here it's, guiding guys through that admissions process, through their visit process, getting them to campus, but figuring out who's going to reciprocate that interest too. Right. Because with the wide net, you get more guys coming back. They're like, yeah, I'm also interested. And it's like, okay, how many can I talk to now? How many can I talk to their club coach, their high school coach? Like, how do I maximize, how quickly I can get to know these guys, and their families, and get them to campus and things like that. So, it's a juggling act the same way. It's just a little bit of a different act, I guess.
How many players do you have coming in this year Well, this is your first recruiting class.
Yeah. So with our first class, we have 15 total coming in. 3 of them are transfers. So and excited about all of them. I think it certainly gets us closer to that roster range we would like to be in. I think between 40 and 50 is probably an ideal roster size, and we should be, around 30, between 38 and 40 this year. Depending on if guys come out and walk on, things like that. So I think, one more recruiting class and we should be at a point where we're consistently, between 44 and 48 guys every year.
That's a large class, 15. Will you continue to bring in 15, or is that a number you like to work with from year to year? It just depends on what your needs are.
I think the ideal number is more based on needs and what you're graduating. And there's a little bit of a natural attrition we see, whether it's, guys, whether it's injury, right, Kyle? Or,
right, Kyle.
Things happen.
Wow. Good one.
Whether it's their injury or, they just get another interest, or it's not as easy, or it's not the experience they thought they were signing up for. So I think the right number is, probably whatever we graduate plus 1 or 2 on a year-to-year basis. So don't want to deal with, large number classes forever, but right now we will take a large number in 24. We got the opportunities, and we've gotten a lot of interest from some really quality guys too. Because that's the other thing, like you want to get that number up, but you got to raise the floor at the same time. And we're fortunate we don't have anybody on roster who's a drill killer, and want to keep it that way.
Now, I'm a New England player. There's a lot of options in New England for Division III. What differentiates Nichols from some of the other schools, and why should I take a look at Nichols?
Yeah, I think it's the right opportunity, for prospective student athletes who want this type of learning experience. So, it's going to be a smaller, we're a smaller school, but we're in a great area where we're so centrally located to a bunch of different cities, but you don't, you're on campus at the same time. So, you can have a bunch of, you can kind of pick whatever type of experience you want from that sense. It's a great fit for prospective student athletes that, want a curriculum that has like a liberal arts background, but is really experienced and focused on hands-on learning. Our business program is certainly, I think, or our business school is probably the strongest prong of our curriculum, and certainly where we get the most draw and the most guys on roster. But if you go down even just the list of our guys on roster, the guys who are in the business school, they're in everything from marketing to accounting to finance to real estate. It's spread across the board based on their interests. But what's consistent is, that experiential learning and how that process gets guys ready for the real world.
Shayne, thanks so much for coming in. We really appreciate talking to you about Nichols and your coaching career. It's been fun, man. I don't know if you know this, but like there was a couple of times where we got mistaken for each other because we're of a similar stature from the back. It's happened a couple of times.
That's why I didn't wear my beard today.
That's good.
I don't want to get confused on camera.
That must be tough to be mistaken as Kyle Devitt. I would not recommend you grow that beard anymore.
No way,
I
man.
certainly wouldn't want to be recognized as Kyle Devitt. You might be shot at.
Oh my God.
Maybe that's why people are quiet
on the lacrosse field if they think you're Kyle Devitt.
Why are you meaner when I'm not there?
Whatever you do, when you're on the field, don't limp.
Oh my God. All right.
Maybe
They'll
Maybe I'll get the inside
They'll
scoop.
think you just had ACL surgery.
Oh, man.
But great job today. Good
Appreciate
luck
it.
at Nichols. Look forward to watching some of your games and seeing you guys compete out there.
No, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. This was fun. Would love to come on another time.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
Great.
Appreciate
Good job.
it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again for listening to New England Lacrosse Journal's Chasing the Goal podcast. For Jack Piatelli, I'm Kyle Devitt. We'll see you next time.